Destination Newry, it's Rowan Hand. The joy of being your host through for 3 hours, Monday to Friday, and the joy also of welcoming Inspector Lorraine Dobson of the PSNI, where you drop into me occasionally, as does your colleagues, to talk to me about the issues of the moment. Drugs are in focus just now.
Yes, well, drugs remain a focus for us throughout the year, but particularly this month we're sort of having a big drive to sort of try and raise awareness with members of the public to try and keep it in the front of their mind. Obviously, the impact of drugs on families and young people can be catastrophic.
Absolutely.
So what we'll be saying
both
is,
from a health point of view,
yeah,
and if there's an involvement, the legal process of a child appearing before courts, being incarcerated, that's a nightmare for families.
Yes, and even going so far, Rowan, as the emotional impact on the family. You know, when somebody's behaviour changes so much when they're taking drugs, when that becomes their main focus, that actually what else is happening in the family isn't important to them. We're conscious of that as well, you know, so it's the whole gambit of issues that we are trying to tackle by getting to the drug dealers and by getting the drugs off the street.
I have to say to you, I understand this because every Saturday I'm in Dublin with the Dublin Homeless Centre, and the majority of the folk who come into us there are people who are at the very, very bottom of the pile in terms of drugs. These are lives that have been destroyed. There's the probability that those people will never come back up again.
Yes.
That's how serious it is. So when you talk about it impacting on the lives of people, by gum, I know what you're talking about, you know.
It is.
How serious is the problem with us at the moment here?
Well, we have a range of issues. Mostly we're still seeing cannabis, and we have had some success with that in recent times. We're seeing more cannabis growing by large-scale operations, but also smaller-scale operations.
People in their shed.
Yes, or in their attic, or converting one of the bedrooms. That
There's
type
actually
of
something
thing.
people can look out for. If landlords with houses and people come and they pay cash for the rent, and then if there's very infrequent visitations to the house, these are all indicators that can lead people to be suspicious.
Yeah. And cannabis plants, when they're growing, have a very pungent smell.
Yeah.
So if you're living next door to that
You
and
might
you're
know
picking
about
that
it.
up, or if you're passing when you're out walking the dog, you know, do please feed that into us. We obviously, our officers are trying to pick it up as well. So cannabis remains an issue and a focus for us, but we're also seeing little bits of harder drugs coming in. We're seeing some evidence of use, both by people that we're interacting with and also maybe picking up syringes and things and being left lying around the place as well. So that's a concern for us, because that for us is a marker that, you know, there's potential there for it to escalate.
You see, you're not fighting this battle alone. Within the last fortnight, Father Peter McVerry of the Peter McVerry Trust in Dublin, he warned Northern Ireland. He said, look, this is a crisis in the Republic, and it will be a crisis with you unless you act to do something about it now. And he's a Newry man, actually. He was the son of Dr. John McVerry of Newry, and very, very highly regarded in the Republic. So you're at the sharp end of dealing with it and trying to do something about it.
Yes, yes. And we're also, as well as trying to tackle it from enforcement side, we're also trying to do some education, and so if there's school teachers listening there, if there's parents listening there, we will do some education with the schools, not just ourselves, but people from the health board as well, who can talk to the young people about their decision-making processes and about the long-term effect that a decision now to get into drugs could have on them.
Absolutely. Now, you bear in mind one thing, and maybe this is useful, you mentioned education. If you ever need, on the basis of my experience in Dublin with the people who are destroyed by drugs, if you want me to come with you to a school to talk to people, I'm there for you. I'm at your disposal. I'm at your service. So let's make a difference, and we can do that. So do you make a distinction between, in prosecuting this thing, do you make a distinction between the person who has some of this material for personal use and someone who is profiting from it by having a vast store of it and selling it?
Yes, very much so.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Very much so.
Tell us about that end of it.
Well, there's a full range of disposals open to a police officer. So how we can deal with it, there's a whole range open. So if we find somebody with a small amount of cannabis for personal use and it's very obvious, then we can start at the very lower end of the prosecution scale with perhaps a caution or maybe even a discretionary disposal depending on the circumstances. Now, people won't fall across them too often. That really is the person getting a chance. Please see the error of your way. We're willing to work with you. Take this as a lesson and don't be doing it again.
Because you're acting in the interest of their good health. Because when people get hooked into this, it's a downward spiral.
Yes.
And if it starts with cannabis, it goes on to something else, and then lives are destroyed. The people I see are shaking in every cell of their body. They're in bits, they're virtually skeletal. 9 times out of 10 they will have AIDS, all of that sort of stuff associated with it. And if you're intervening with that warning, even intervening to the extent of taking someone who's involved in it and using it into court, you're doing them the most wonderful favour.
Well, we always work where we can see a need. We always work with our partner agencies. And there are different mechanisms of referral that if somebody needs assistance, we can feed into that for them and try and get them that assistance. As you say, somebody who thinks they start on drugs for a recreational purpose can very quickly slide into the stage where the drugs is in control and their life is out of control. So it's about trying to put the support in place.
And you know, it's so obvious, even something as legal and proper and enjoyable as nice wine. You've got to be careful. Because suddenly it can become in control. You need to watch these things.
Absolutely.
So are you having, in the last year, for example, have you had a good strike rate in terms of catching people, the rascals?
Our seizures are up, our numbers of seizures are up, and the quantity of drugs that we're seizing is up. Our feedback from the public has increased as well.
Well done you guys.
So as people are aware, I think, of the impact that drugs can have on family lives, then they're more ready to sort of make that call.
And that call's easy done nowadays on 101.
101, or even if somebody doesn't want to make their details known to the police, they can use the Crime Stoppers. Everything is followed up. Whether we physically knock a door or we'll do our own research in the background, once we get a piece of information, a lot of wheels kick into place, and we'll be looking at that to try and make sure that we get the right people called.
And nothing is too small. No observation is too small.
No, absolutely not. Because of the impact that we already talked about, we will follow absolutely everything up.
It's great to have you there. You're like guardian angels of society.
Well, we try, you know, sometimes we're always chasing, you know, but with the public help, we can try and get ahead of the game.
Well, it should be. It's an ideal territory for a partnership for good progress.
Yes.
And I think that's what we should be aiming for. What else is in your rattle bag at the moment of concerns?
Well, we're actually just recovering from the Giro.
Oh, thank God. If I see another pink sign, I'll go mad, I tell you.
Run! What
I don't
do you
like pink, it's terrible colour.
No, I'm not a big fan of pink either, but it was amazing to see. My patch is South Armagh, so it was amazing to see all the wee villages turned pink for the Giro, and the community spirit where everybody came out and really wanted to make a go of
and you guys high-fiving with the populace.
No.
You wouldn't have had that a few years back, but isn't it great to see it?
A phenomenal atmosphere. And actually the week before the Giro in South Armagh, Paddy Duffy and some of the local people organised a charity Giro from Newton Hamilton to the border there.
Sounds
to the
wonderful.
Forge. Well, it was wonderful, although some of my guys might, I asked 2 of my neighbourhood policing guys, would they do it on the police mountain bikes? So,
and did they?
They did. They agreed. They agreed to do it. I think they thought charity cycle. There'd be children. There'd be people in costumes. And when we turned up, there were almost professional cyclists there. There weren't any children. So, but they struggled through, but had a fantastic reception from people in the villages, and also the 234 cyclists did the charity
one,
and they gave us a great welcome. So we're recovering from that and had great fun, and you know, it'll last long in my memory of policing.
Well, of course. How long are you in the cops now?
Me, 22 years.
Why? Goodness gracious. Did you go
22
straight
years.
from university in?
I didn't go to university. I decided to get a job, and so I worked.
What did you go for?
I worked for the civil service
Good girl.
for a year or two, and then joined the police.
Yeah,
So
be very boring in the civil service.
horrendously. So as a 19-year-old, it
No,
was a real shocker.
You had to get going.
But I didn't know anybody in the police.
Yeah.
So I
No
just
police
wanted,
family, no.
No, didn't know anybody at all. So joining the civil service was an opportunity to have a look at it to see if it was something that I really wanted.
Yeah,
so,
were you in the civil service in Belfast, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
In the
used
police
train,
stations.
They used to train the police dogs up behind Stormont.
They did, yeah.
Does that still happen?
No, I don't believe they're there now, but
Yeah.
they will still come out and do displays and different bits and
yeah, of
pieces
course.
for us,
Yeah,
actually. So
yeah.
you could have gone along and watched them working
course.
at Stormont, but not so much now. But yeah, no, the police has been it's flown through
Yeah.
22 years.
Of course it
not,
has. But that's
not
what
been
happens
slog.
with life.
Yeah.
It flies past, I
Yeah.
tell you. 29th of May, I'm 70, so how time passes, I tell you.
Yes.
It's really great. It's a nice feeling to be making progress along the timeline. It's all good. Lorraine, I know you're a busy woman today. I want to thank you for coming in. Thank you very, very much indeed. And don't forget, 101, it's the easy one to remember, or Crime Stoppers, but 101 is a huge and great new number. And you can be part of the partnership to help families beat the curse of drugs. 101, the information, and you'll save lives, and that's what we're all about. Go well.
That's great.
Take
Well,
care. All
thank
the
you.
best to you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Well, please.